Hello, everybody. So we are jumping in on some fun stuff. I don't know if it's going to be a series yet. Acceleration, not excel, but acceleration. And we're going to move forward on some things. And I think there may be a series because I've got a couple of thoughts that I just want to be able to throw out. And I know it's not going to be able to, I'm going to be able to cover it all today because acceleration is something that really it takes some time to understand. It takes some time to actually know what to do with it, and then how to move forward on it. So let's think about this one thing as we get in. Well, let me think about another thing. Share this with someone that you know that needs to accelerate in life. They want to go forward in life. They want to increase. Let's continue to build this talk because I'm doing it every Tuesday. Stuff that I would be sharing one-on-one across the table or in a group setting with people. Talking about how to win and how to overcome and coaching people in their next level. We're doing it here on the Barrier Buster app page because we're developing a program, a system for you to go to your next level. So share with people. If you know someone that wants to go to their next level, someone who wants to excel in life, there's free education, free coaching, free training happening right here every Tuesday. Plus there's an app that is really taking out of my mind 15 years of information of how to coach people into their next level, one-on-one executive coaching, put it in app form so you can actually coach yourself with a little bit of information, with a little bit of insight and a little bit of encouragement. You can actually take yourself on the same kind of productivity and strategy plan that coaches give people. And I'm telling you, don't just squander this. Take advantage of it. This is an incredible opportunity. I wish someone would have gave it to me. I didn't have a mentor in coaching. I didn't have a mentor in these things. So I'm actually doing my best to try to mentor as many people. And I'm hoping that 1,000 people will rise up and become millionaires from this coaching and from this strategy of teaching and training. So I want to educate you. I want to help you. I want you to become the best that you can be and want you to excel in what you have in your heart to do. So share this with others that you know that have that. You should have some friends, some family members, some people around you that have the same ambition, the same kind of drive to be successful. Success is a drive that needs to be paid attention to and needs to be harnessed. So use it, do something with it, share this. And if you haven't downloaded your app, download it. Download the app. We're going to be pushing. I have one final update I'm going to add to it, and then I'm going to push it really hard and really heavy, and then I'm going to add I got some other things to come out in the future that are just going to be dynamic for you and for growing your company, your business, and your life. And we've already developers, we've already started working on a Barrier Buster app for organizations. So this is for you. This is to hack your own brain, to hack your own mind, to help you get to your next level. But the other is going to help you hack your business to a next level and take you and your organization to the next level, because ultimately we want to work that 4-hour work week or that really short work week, give ourselves strongly to excellence, and then give ourselves strongly to passion. And so we're going to be able to do that and train you in that. So today we're talking about acceleration. Acceleration is really interesting because if you've ever tried to drive, or if you started to learn to drive, if you've never driven or you've never been on I've ridden a horse a couple of times. I guess it's the same kind of thing. There's a point of no motion, and then there's the preparation, and then there's the what I'm going to call the RPM increase. I'm thinking about a horse. You can't RPM them, but you kind of, when you kick and you kind of nudge a little bit, you kind of doing the same thing. It's adding some repetition and adding some kind of revolving, some motion in order to get more motion. So this is kind of important. And then there's the clutch. I want to talk about the clutch next week, because I think emotionally we all have a clutch. We have something that just needs to pop in. We may have our RPMs going really, really, really fast. You're doing the same thing every day. You're consistent. You're perpetual. You're moving forward, but it's not adding any motion. How do you get the motion? You have to pop the clutch. You have to get the clutch going. So when I actually started to learn to drive, I learned to drive, and in automatic is not as difficult because you turn on, but you still have that accelerator. You have that thing, that pedal that you have to push on. And when you push that pedal, you're not actually quite sure how much pressure to put on it, how much pressure to release from it. So if you watch a new driver, they're jerking and the people in the car are jerking back and forth the whole time, because that's what happens when you're learning. What does it take for me to accelerate? I think sometimes we think we're accelerating when we're not putting enough pressure on. And I think you have to put more pressure on in order to go to your next level. If you are wanting to go to your next level and you're in sales and you're not making as much money as you want to make, and you're in sales and your income is based upon your money making, you have to actually accelerate more. So acceleration is not just this image that we get, like I posted the image of the burnout. Acceleration is not just this, that breaking. That's someone who actually knows how to race the RPMs, get the RPMs up, and then use the clutch and the brake properly in order to get the kind of RPMs they want without the accelerated motion that they don't want. So I've actually tried to ride a motorcycle, and I tried to do that little burnout one time, and then it popped a wheelie, and I wasn't ready for the wheelie. And so I literally fell on my back. The bike kept rolling because I didn't know how to use the brake, the clutch, the RPMs. I didn't know how to use all of those things in place. So while you're learning acceleration, you may add a little bit of pressure and you find out, well, I don't like the results. You add a little bit more pressure. You say, I don't like the results. Add a little more pressure. Then all of a sudden you're actually moving. So you watch a young person or a person learning to drive a car, they put the accelerator on and they're going really, really slow. And then, or they push it way down because they think it needs to go all the way down, and they go really fast and then they get scared and they let go. That's the part I want to talk about, that part where you put it down really hard and you are going for your vision, you're going for your purpose, you're going after what you want to do, and you get intimidated by the thrust. You get intimidated by all of the stuff that comes. You get intimidated by too many emails, too many phone calls, too much on the table. And so you pull back, and it's called hesitation. One of the biggest enemies of acceleration is hesitation. Hesitation is something it's in play because you don't actually know what's next. You've gone out of control. You don't know how to control the motion that you're experiencing. So you need to know how to do that. So there's acceleration that's kind of slow acceleration, and you're constantly getting frustrated with how slow it is. And then you have to keep driving, keep pushing down on that pedal until you find that place you want. And after a while, if you're a driver, you do it without even thinking now. That's the same thing in success. You'll do it at first. It's going to be jerky. It's going to be shocking. It's going to be overwhelming. It's going to be intimidating. It's going to be intense. And you can't stop moving forward. You have to move forward. There's times where you're going to push real hard, and if you push too hard for the kind of systems and processes you have in your life, so you're going to pull back. Well, you have to know how to move those things. And so there's a sensitivity. But I want to talk to you about hesitation, because hesitation is what happens ultimately. Whether you push it too slow, you're hesitating beforehand. Whether you push it too fast, you're hesitating because you went too fast and you don't want to go that fast. It intimidated you. It made you afraid. And you have now clinched fear. You've been clinched by fear. So you need to know that acceleration is going to have hesitation in one way or the other. And you're going to have to find your place until you find the exact kind of energy you want to put in to get the kind of results you want. Now, you have to understand this, that if you don't know the results that you want, you will hesitate, because hesitation is a part of part of it is not knowing what you're going to get into, or you got something that you didn't expect. And so not knowing the objective and not knowing what the end result is, that's the big problem of hesitation. So a person who is hesitant, they literally will back out of the opportunity because they don't know what it looks like in front of them. They will pull back on so you put going back to the driving, you put the acceleration pedal down, the accelerator down, you put it down and you go, whoa, that's too much. That's too intense. You really feel this when you're on a motorcycle, but that's too intense. And so you pull way back, you pull completely off. You don't know how to gauge it, just take off a little bit and so some people, when they either have had failure or they've had extremely fast success, they have this hesitation built into them that they don't want to put down the accelerator anymore. Give me something easy, give me something simple, give me something very systematic and practical that I don't actually have to feel those emotions again. Well, that hesitation is going to keep you from being who you want to be. Can I just tell you, if you're thinking about this, if you're listening to this, I want you to understand that most of the stuff that we're talking about just in this very part of the Barry Buster season, we're talking about just dealing with with things that hold you back from moving forward. These are hindrances and governors that hold you back from moving as fast as you want to go. But if you would actually just put it down, just put a little bit, okay, I can handle this. Then accelerate more. Okay, I can handle this. Accelerate a little bit more. Oh, I can handle this. That's exactly how success is. You push down, I can handle this. I can handle this. Don't go full force because you don't actually know. Person doesn't know what driving feels like. We see our parents drive, we see our friends drive, we see other people drive, but until you put your foot in there and you hold your hands on there, you don't know what success is like until you've actually held on to a company or you're trying to move people forward. You don't have a clue. You can watch someone and say, well, they're not successful because look at what they deal with, look what they went through. But the fact is you don't know all of the things that come in play when you're actually holding the wheel and you have to shift and you have to look through the forward window. You don't understand all of these things. So acceleration is something that needs to happen in your life, but you can't allow it to intimidate you to the point of hesitation. So hesitation is this: fear. You have to overcome fear. What are you afraid of in your next season? What is telling you that you don't belong here? What is telling you that you can't go to your next level? We often give ourselves permission to hesitate. We give ourselves permission to pull back on things that we should be running full force into. We don't understand it all, but you won't understand until you accelerate, until you've actually crossed 15 miles an hour. You don't understand what it feels like to go 50 miles an hour. You have to actually break some of these limits and some of these barriers, some of these hesitations. You have to break some of them in order to really understand what the next is. And so I want to encourage you, what is holding you back right now? What are some of the things that are hindering you? There's a question and I was going through the Barrier Buster teaching that I have in the 3-day session. And I just found this one question that just resonated in me is, if you were to counsel someone in your position right now, what would you tell them? What would you tell them? Because we tell people the advice that we should have. And so this is what I want you to know. I want you to write down. I want you to say, if I was counseling someone, talking to someone, coaching someone who's in my exact position, what would I coach them into? What would I tell them to do? How would I tell them to do it? And what 3 things would I tell them to look at? What 3 things are they intimidated by? So this is what I want you to know. What are the 3 things that make you hesitant from stepping forward and going into this next thing? What are the 3 things? And then ultimately, so first you're going to start with, what would I tell someone who was just in my same position, my same talent, my same skill set, having the same problems or same challenges, the same intimidation that I have? What would I tell them? The next thing is, what are the 3 things that I feel are hindering me here? What are the 3 things that I can identify that make me feel hesitant to move forward? These feelings should not be ignored. They should be understood. And the reason you have those feelings and those emotions is so that you can actually sit down and you can write out, what is it that's making me feel this way? Why do I feel like this? What is the fear? What is that fear telling me? And then how do I counteract that fear? You're going to have to counteract that fear by actually talking to it. You have to have the right kind of conversation. That fear is conversing with you. That fear is telling you you're not acceptable, you're a loser, or you're never going to accomplish this. And you have to actually respond. You have to talk back to it. I know I talked about last week talking back, but if you don't understand that success is so much, I would say 90% of your success is based upon how you talk, and how you talk to yourself, and how you talk to your friends, and how you allow friends to talk to you, and how you allow things and people, places, and circumstances to talk to you. That conversation, that voice is determining whether or not you can achieve. When I'm taking someone to the next level, the first thing I do is I talk to them about their talk. I want to adjust their talking because they hear themselves more than they hear anyone else. And what's really challenging is they hear themselves outside, because we talk to ourselves externally, even though you don't want to admit it. You talk to yourself outside. You're walking around and you're talking, man, I can't believe it. This doesn't make any sense. That's talking to yourself. But then you have this internal talk, this conversation that's talking to you. And what that conversation wants to talk to you about internally, it wants to talk to you about what happened in the past. Remember when you tried this last time? You failed. It tries to talk you into being afraid, because that lizard brain, that primitive brain, our brain is designed to keep us from running into dangerous things that we are not ready for. And that's why accelerating a little bit more makes you ready for the next dangerous thing. Driving 60 miles an hour is dangerous. Driving is dangerous. But if you have readied your mind and you've readied your skills and you readied yourself for it, it's not dangerous. Your skills supersede the danger. And that's what we want you to do. We want you to step out enough to where you go, this is not as dangerous as I thought. Because your brain's telling you, fear is telling you. Fear is the response of your brain going, this is dangerous, be afraid, run, hide, go over there and do something you already have done and be normal and just do what's normal. Stop being ridiculously, risk-taking. Stop it. No, that's your brain. That's that part of your brain. That's that part of your lower part of your limbic system that says, this is dangerous. There's a lion, there's a bear, there's something out there you need to actually not run into. Well, then your brain says that. Well, it says that about making that sales phone call. So we're back at the salesman we were talking about a moment ago. If you want to make more money and you're in sales, if you're making 25 calls and you're not making enough money, then guess what? You've got to do that next thing. The next thing is make 50 calls. If you're not making enough money, then you have to accelerate and you have to now make 75 calls, 75 phone calls a week or 75 phone calls a day. The numbers don't change. That's one of the things that the system is the same. I have to make the same amount of phone calls as you make. Now, what may change is the more I make these phone calls, the more these people will make phone calls for me. That will accelerate me to another level because now I'm not just taking my efforts and my efforts are now multiplied by referrals and by marketing and by advertising. You can actually manifest those greater acceleration by those other things. But the fact is I still have to start the same way. I have to start making the same phone calls. I have to keep doing a weekly video to keep pushing. This is my accelerator, 1 o'clock every Tuesday. I'm just driving that accelerator. Now I'm going to add another thing to the accelerator. I feel comfortable with this. I can think about what to tell you in my sleep. Literally, I wake up going, that's what we're going to talk about today. Well, maybe last week I thought about it, but we're going to talk about that. Well, this is now what I'm doing is I'm now going to start 2 more shows, 2 more programs. One's a Barrier Buster and an interview. The bird's sweeping. You see it sweeping behind me. The Barrier Buster interview. And then the next thing is I'm going to do something that's called Strong Arm Headlock. It's a podcast that I want to just deal with tough things, tough thoughts. Well, that's more accelerator issues. I'm accelerating a little bit more, just pushing a little bit more pressure on it, pushing a little bit more pressure. The only way you accelerate is put more pressure on you. If you don't want any more pressure, then stop dreaming big. Stop having big objectives. Stop hoping for big things. Stop wanting big things because big things demand that you put more pressure on yourself than you've ever put in your life on you. You've never had this kind of pressure ever before that it's going to take for you to get to your next level of success. If you're cruising through, you'll never achieve that big, grandiose thing that you're planted on this earth to achieve. Now, you have to be able to put more pressure on. Now, the more pressure, the more hesitation you'll feel. That's the challenge. That's that cognitive dissonance, that ability that says, I know I need to go there, but I'm afraid to go there because in order to go there, I have to put pressure on this. And if I put pressure on this, it makes me feel like I'm out of control because it's now moving me forward. I've popped wheelies. I've crashed cars. I've done all kinds of things with acceleration. I remember never mind. Anyway, it's just too big of a story to tell in the next few minutes. So one of these days I'll share it, but I put my foot down on something anyway. When you get into a fast car, Corvette, you get into a Porsche or something like that, you don't always want to just go, let's go. You may have to test that kind of torque a little bit because the RPMs kick a little bit faster than some of the other cars that you may put your foot down. So if you get into a different system, a different business, a different thing, you may actually have to test that a little bit. But once you get used to that pressure, if I push this far, I'm gonna hit this many RPMs in this fast, I can handle that. So I'm going to go next level. So what do you need to add to your life today? Third thing, what do you need to add to your life this week in order for you to add a little bit more pressure to overcome the hesitation? Because hesitation is not going to go away. Fear doesn't go away. Fear goes away because you attack it. Hesitation goes away because you add pressure to it. Put yourself under pressure. Now, there's something I'm going to talk about with clutch next week. Clutch is interesting because a clutch is the same thing you have when you we have the automatic transmissions, which has an automatic clutch. Basically, we have a clutch where we are putting our foot down on the left. If you're going to be moving a car, if you have a clutch on a motorcycle. These are interesting things because it gives permission to go to your next level. But then there's also this clutch, this person who in the midst of the game is at the most intense point, and they're able to perform in a clutch circumstance. That's what I want to talk about, because clutch is always dealing with performance. And people don't like performance nowadays. We don't like to know that if you're going to get to your next level, you want to perform. I'm so ahead. That's next week. Let's not talk about that. Let's continue to talk about putting pressure on you. You've got to put pressure on you. Now, listen, I had this conversation with one of my kids this week that, listen, you are your own boss and you have to boss yourself around. That's something that most people don't do. That's why we're building apps to help you boss yourself around. When a person hires a coach, you know why you hire a coach? A coach is someone that you hire to boss you around. You know why you go and work for a job? You work for someone, and thank God for your job. But the fact is everyone should have a business, even if you have a job. If you work for yourself, most people don't want to work for themselves is because they don't know how to boss themselves around. You have to be able to boss yourself around. You have to talk to you like you are the employee. You have to have a boss in you and you have to have an employee in you. You have to have someone that you can put on under pressure and make them go to work. If you can't make yourself go to work, if you can't boss yourself around, if you can't be your own boss, that's what self-employed is. You are the employer of yourself, of your ego. Let your ego boss you around this week. Let your ego tell you what to do. I mean, listen, Tracy Armstrong likes things and Tracy Armstrong doesn't like things. And I'm going to boss myself around for this season to get myself into the next level, because there's some things that I need to boss myself into. I need to be a little bit more. I need to put more pressure on me. You need to put more pressure on you. The Tracy needs to put more pressure on him so he can get to his next level. That's right. And I want to encourage you to get to your next level. Don't allow the circumstances, the intimidation, the fear boss you around, because that's what's bossing you. If you're hesitant, something's bossing you. If you are fearful, something's bossing you. If you are intimidated, something's bossing you. If you're frustrated, something's bossing you. Be your own boss. Rise up. Be the boss. Be the boss, right? Rise up and boss yourself. It's important that you do that. The only way to overcome fear is to boss yourself. Fear's a bully. Fear's a boss. You actually have to be the boss and boss yourself. So I'm going to encourage you in that. And as we're just closing off, I want to show you a couple of things on the Barry Buster app, because I just feel like it's important that you get a clear understanding what's in front of you and the opportunity that you have in front of you to make yourself better. And you can better yourself in such an amazing way just by understanding. Look at think big, baby. Just by understanding what's in front of you, but you have to become your own boss. Now, if you haven't done this, again, I'm telling you each week just to focus on one thing in the app, but this is kind of a lead up to the thing I want to show you. When you open up the app, you have an assessment. You don't need the assessment if you don't want to focus on your objectives. You need this assessment if you want to focus on your objectives. The reason you hesitate is because you don't know your objective. So you want to make sure that you take a little moment here and you kind of evaluate, where am I at between 1 to 10 with family? Okay, and you find your range. I did this purposefully. This is the beta form here. There's a couple of things on this one that you won't have on your download if you're downloading it now. If you have a download, like for instance, we've added this little YouTube channel here so that you can go right in. Oh, that's right. I pulled it offline. Sorry. I took offline so I didn't get all notifications while I'm doing this. But if you go to that YouTube channel in the future, it has all of these other Barry Buster videos, things for education every single day, educating you. But there's a lot that's been added since. But if you go here, and the assessment is important for you to know you. It doesn't send information to me. It doesn't send information to our company at all. It's directly for you. So people they're asking, well, what's happening to my information? Nothing. We're not actually finding out your information. You're not giving that information. The only thing we get is if you want to have next level coaching, we get to know. So as we're developing our coaching system, it lets us know that you're interested in next level coaching. So as the system is being built and behind the scenes right now, it's being built for you to be coached at whatever level you want to be coached. Then it after your assessment, it breaks it down into these three topics, these three areas. These top three areas here are the ones, the financial, professional, and personal, are the ones that I wanted to work on. So those were my lowest in ranking on my assessment. So it tells me this, but then it breaks out here to my goals. Now, goals are only as good as the role that you want to be. So you have to actually decide, when you're making goals, what does my role look like? That's one of the things you'll find in the video on goal setting versus role setting. So I'm starting a business, but if I wanted to set my role, I can actually drop this and then set a role instead and saying starting a business, but I want to become a business owner or whatever that role I want. And then across the top, you just go across that little menu, professional. This is what I want to do in my professional aspects I want to grow in, personal aspects I want to grow in. Again, the plus sign determines if you want to add new things and other things to it. All right. So these are not the things I want you to, if you're not interested in doing that right now, that's fine. But if you're not setting goals, you're not making objectives. That's why these are linked. Objectives, your objectives should become goals. Your assessments should become goals. Your assessments are goals, and then goals, you become your objectives. Now, this is what I wanted to focus on. You should have an objective, something that you're telling yourself, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start a business. Now, when you're doing that, you now have to put pressure on you every single day. Pressure to start your business. That's why this is here. It shows up every single day. You come back tomorrow, start a business. You got to work on it. Now, what are you going to do in working on it? Did you work on it? Yes. Did you work on this? Yes. Did you work on that? Yes. Okay. You've accomplished that today. We've got some doors shutting around here. And some doors opening. Let's make sure we say that. And then across the end here, we talked about last week, being focused, making sure you have focus. That's extremely important to be focused, and we know what those are. And so you should have those for you, then habits. But I want to talk about this, because the objectives, the reason a person hesitates is because they don't know what they're getting. They don't know what they're expecting. They don't have a clear picture of what the future looks like. And so they're hesitant. That hesitation doesn't stop you from accelerating. Hesitation, okay, accelerate more. Hesitation, accelerate more. When you get comfortable with the next step, go to your next level, and you will be someone that continually grows. Hopefully this is encouraging. I love this Les Brown statement. Your smile will give you a positive countenance. It goes a little slow. I had to speed up once and then it was too fast. That will make people feel comfortable around you. That's Les Brown. He's a good communicator. We're going to get him on. I'm hopefully on one of these programs, these podcasts and programs that I want to do, starting to talk and see if I can get that working. All right. We'll talk to you soon, and have a great Barry Buster week. Hopefully this was encouraging. Hopefully this was helpful. Don't hesitate, break through, accelerate, put pressure on yourself, be your own boss. And Tracy likes to boss himself around. And so he's going to continue to do that and have fun. You go to your next level as well. We're going to all step into that next level, become the best that you can be. We'll see you next week, Breaking Barriers.